Make sure you don't see yourself through the eyes of those who don't value you. You need to know your worth, even when others don't. You are not what people think. Hey, rebels. Okay, so let's just go ahead and jump into this read. Now, we have here elusive, mom, and awakening. Now, here with the mom, what I am seeing is the imagery of the Three of Swords. But notice that there's only one arrow going through it. Now, this is about your mental clarity and the hierarchy that you are for yourself within your life. Now, there are many different dynamics that you have in your life, whether it be amongst family, amongst friends, amongst career, whatever the case may be personally for you. But ultimately, regardless of the relationships that you have and the coexistence that you exist in, you have to make the best choice for yourself. Now, here with elusive, people don't really take to you well or kindly when they can't control you, when they can't figure you out. For most people, they don't like you because they cannot seem to understand why is it that you are not like the rest. Why is it that you do not subscribe to the dictatorship of, you know what, let's just go along to get along. And for you, that's not something that your spirit feels comfortable in. You spent so much of your time, you spent so much time within this lifetime being uncomfortable, disengaging with yourself, and engaging with others to make them feel comfortable. And that is where you have found your individuality, by going against the grain, right? Here with awakening, Spirit said there's a lot that never made sense to you that is now going to make sense to you, of why it is that someone didn't like you even though they didn't know you. And Spirit is also saying sometimes it's just as simple as that. They don't know you, so why give a damn whether they like you or not, right? So Spirit wanted me to come here and just pull some cards with you. Oh, okay, honey, your loyalty is even a reason why a lot of people don't take to you well, because they don't understand why it is that you are so empathetic of giving that blind faith of loyalty to not just yourself, but to situations, not just of circumstances, but just having the faith that regardless of what is to come, that things just happen the way that they're supposed to, right? Let's continue to pull. Bitterness. So there are people who are, now Spirit said we don't want to focus too much on others, but we definitely want to bring the purpose back around to you, and the reason that others tend to disregard and disrespect your you time, your progress, your ability to be able to create for yourself and move forward. There is so much judgment that is constantly passed onto you, that is projected onto you. Why do you not have this? Why have you not made it here yet? Why? Now, they ask these questions about you, but it's not that they ask these questions in regards to you or your concern, your well-being. They more so ask these questions based in a borderline, the baseline of judgment. Judging your character, comparing yourself and your perspectives and your ways of being with them, so they can feel better about themselves. So this is why Spirit don't want to bring so much focus in on them. But as you hear this read, Spirit really wants you to pay attention and perceive yourself, see yourself, acknowledge yourself, notice who it is that you are and how it is that you are so grounded in understanding why you do what you do, why you make the choices that you made. Why is it that you have went about things the way that you went about things for your own damn reasons? And why it is that it's no one else's need to be able to comprehend why you made the best choice for yourself. Now, yes, if you're in a coexisting space of collaboration, there may be a measurement of you that needs to be brought to the forefront for others to understand. But Spirit is saying ultimately, despite how someone else's feel or how they perceive their own interpretations, ask yourself, has anyone really sat down to evaluate you within your understanding, your reasons, your values, and your purpose? Now, here at the bottom, honey, it's interesting how these cards just, baby, how they laid themselves out. You have depth, perspective, and thinking. Confirmation. The way that you love on yourself so unconditionally is a way that no one else would ever be able to love you. Because usually when others are perceiving you, they're adapting their interpretation. They're rather closed-minded to learning from your understanding, to learning from the comprehensive space of where it is that you've learned yourself. But also, they're rather depleting their educational reasons that they have of loving you. I know that I'm going to have to sit back with that one, because they don't listen to you to learn from you. Because if they were trying to learn from you, they will understand that your definitions of your defined words do not always match up with their definitions of defined words. I hope that made sense for you. But the way that you evaluate yourself, and as well the way that you forgive yourself when you have reevaluated yourself, these are things that people can't seem to grasp about you. Because with them knowing the things that you have done that were not so sanctified or so righteous, confirmation, the grief, the remorse that they feel that you should be stuck in for the remainder of your process and your progressing through life just does not seem to be there. So yes, they see you as cold-hearted. They see you as detached. But as this card stated before, it says, make sure you don't start seeing yourself through the eyes of those who don't value you. You, rebel, you value the quality of your lessons. You value the interpretations that you have been able to grasp onto in regards to the lessons that have been taught. You know that because you performed a certain way yesterday does not mean that that is who you are going to be as you progress forward. If you know that who you were yesterday is not someone who your spirit is in connections with to be able to define yourself as. So trapped, what we were just talking about, they want you to be trapped in this conflicted mind state that you never reach this breaking point, in these breaking points that you have had, these milestones, these checkpoints that you have had, to be loyal to yourself and just let go of the resentment and the bitterness and see the chemistry that is trying to, and that is. So you have, there's chemistry and there's loyalty and there's so much abundance and so much of so much. We say, get this card to help us out a little bit. So much that was meant to slow you down, but you kept on progressing forward. So much that was meant to, I'm hearing, halt you and hunt you, to keep you from going forward, to being able to balance out that anything that wicked, that it was wicked and that has been wicked, that has happened and transpired in your life, was there intentionally to bring you this chemical reaction of being able to see and think and live and be in depth with your perspective and your way of thinking and being able to see yourself. You cast no judgment upon yourself. You have given so much. Spirit said if they were only able to connect the dots and realize the quality of grace that you have given to them, why wouldn't you have given that to yourself? Spirit said, where the hell do they think that you got that from? You weren't just being kind to them because they enforced it or because you felt, okay, well, I don't love myself, so let me love them. No, everything, even within your lower vibrational self, that you were able to give other people in grace, in patience, in generosity. You had that within you to be able to give, not just to them, but to yourself. The problem is that you were misaligned because you were given to others before you were given to yourself. So others saw you giving to them something that you had for yourself, but you were not maintaining or giving to yourself. Spirit said, let's wrap that around one more time. Others saw you giving them $1 and leaving yourself with just a dime. All right? So Spirit said to this trap, there it is. It said, come on, give us another one. Rejection. Okay, baby. Spirit said that you are rejecting your past life experiences within limited principalities. All right? The fact that you have reevaluated yourself, you have not thrown anything about your past life away. You just recalibrated it. You just looked at yourself differently, just as we just expressed and explained. Why am I giving to others before I fulfill myself? Why am I pausing my time? This is what Spirit said you've been in the energy of, but they wanted to give it words. Why are you pausing your time to be able to contribute to someone else's time? You didn't even clean your own house yet, but yet you go over to someone else's house and make sure that their whole arrangement is organized and spick and span. You're coming to the realization that behaving and moving in that way of momentum, how it has depleted you from being able to see yourself, to be able to live in a peace that you have given to so many others. Rebels, don't make me cry. Spirit said, let's put down this deck. And we're going to come over here and grab this one. Spirit, what is it that you want the rebels to see about themselves and know? Fun and adventure. Come on, where the cards go? Spirit says, stop hiding from yourself. Stop waiting for, there it is. Stop hiding from yourself. Stop waiting for others to tell you who it is that you are. Because remember, they're only telling you who they believe you are. They don't know who you are. Regardless of how long they have been in your life, regardless of even if you came from their womb, they don't know who you are. Spirit is saying the hidden interest of you is always going to be within your internal. The hidden interests of others is always going to be within their internal. So despite how long you've known somebody, despite how much you've been through with somebody, despite how much they've been through with you, no one would ever really be able to tap into the value that you have received from that experience, this input, baby. Okay. Breaking point with partnership. Said, let's get these cards down and we're going to continue on this conversation. Abundance. Okay. Change and new beginnings, baby. We gotta love it. It's not personal. And Spirit is saying, ultimately, no change that you are making about yourself that removes you from those convenient spaces that you were positioned in within the lives of others. It's not personal in regards to them. It's personal in regards to you. You are now projecting your experiences back onto yourself and getting yourself in this place of allowing and permitting yourself to get uncomfortable, to be discomforted. We got a whole lot of made up words happening here, right? At least it feels that way. So Spirit is saying, even with that being said, there are going to be things that you reflect on about yourself and about your past ways of being that you are going to seem a bit detached from, that you're going to look at yourself and perceive yourself and say, was that really me? Because seeing who I am now and seeing how it is that I move now, there may be apologies that you need to dish out, whether whoever it is that you are apologizing to don't understand why this memory has come back up to you. Maybe they don't even feel that they needed an apology because it wasn't something that was even of their concern. They feel as if it didn't faze them at one point or another. But these are things, these apologies that now Spirit say you don't need to go on the apology parade, but just the suggestion of deliverance, the suggestion of apologizing to yourself and or them is going to open up something within you as well as them that is going to be the pathway to lead you as well as them to these places of suppression where you as well as them did not realize these things or that point in time mattered as much as they did. So for instance, let's say if someone told you for whatever reason that they didn't like you and you went on, you said fuck it, and you went on about your life. But Spirit said the wound that is going to peel back, that place of suppression that is going to open up for you is that the performance that you gave after that person or that crowd said that they didn't like you based off of their suggestion. It's going to show you how you performed after that to avoid having to look at that, to avoid having to question why did that matter to them, but why did it matter to you to avoid looking at that. Now, Spirit is bringing me back to what we said earlier about educational purposes of looking at why someone values themselves and interpreting their words for their definitions. In order to coexist with others, we have to gain a sense of understanding. So as much as we've been learning selfishness, as much as we've been learning confirmation, as much as we've been learning that being selfish is not as harsh as it has been projected onto us to be, Spirit wants you to know that we have to go back and look at ourselves to recover those parts and those perspectives of ourselves that we set to the side because it was easiest to just let it go. To be in coexistence with others, there's two ends of the spectrum of selfishness. There's that end of selfishness where you are taking care of yourself, but you know that others yearn for your criterias and yearn for your effort and your interest to validate them. But there's also that other end of selfishness where you are selfish towards yourself and you give and you engage with others to make sure that they are satisfied. So Spirit is saying selfish and selfless. How do you fulfill yourself? How can you give to others in the authenticity that is you if you are not in fulfillment of yourself? Spirit is saying that you disqualify yourself, your meaning, and your interests when you know not who you are. And this is ultimately why people don't like you. Because when you present yourself, it's because you are ready. When you present yourself, it's because you are interested, even if you don't know what the outcome may be or what the assignment is. You make sure that your walls and your boundaries are of separate entities as they are, and that you understand why they're there. That even though most things that from the aspect of others are due to them having no explanation, them feeling that the collective's way of seeing things is the way that it just is. Even with no explanation, you move differently. You have this yearning for insight. You have this yearning for fulfillment that other people disguise themselves within their felt ranking of authority to have. But yet when you ask them, when they are asked, why do they feel that way? It's because I said so. But when you, rebel, give up because I said so, you can, if they got the time, if they have the brain cells, if they have that open space to not disregard someone else's experience, you can give them the rundown. You can even leave the conversation and come back, if you permitted yourself to, come back and tell them, you know what? There's more to this. Because you never leave a situation feeling that experience is just what it was, what it is. You understand the freedom space when spirit does give it to you, when an experience is supposed to be just that. But even in your joyful moments, even in those moments of those freedom spaces, spirit can't stop you from thinking, and they love that about you. So your change, notice we have a turtle here again. Your change, it does not matter how slow you go. It does not matter the reasons and the whys that they yearn for. What's important is that you know. What's important is that you validate yourself. What's important is that even when you know that you may have misstepped or that you have had current experiences or past life experiences that does not align with who you are becoming, that you reevaluate yourself, that you extend that forgiveness, that you have even warned yourself and warn yourself. Not warn yourself out, but warn yourself as a costume at times to say, if I was to do this all over again, would I have done it the same way? What adjustments should be made? Because do unto others as you want others to do unto you. But yet, when it comes to others, they feel that if the way that they showed up today needs to be the way that they show up tomorrow and the next day, even if they see within themselves that the way that they showed up, that something was wrong with it. They stand within that authority of, you know what, you can't correct me, and I don't know what you're talking about, and you can't make me agree with it. I don't care what evidence you got. And Spirit said, you don't move like that. You have no problem with resetting. Why are we grabbing right here? They said, set this right here. Oh, baby. Once again, that cup. You can't give of yourself. And Spirit said, that's a lesson that you have learned. Stop giving. It's like, not stop giving, but it's like a test dummy, right? You are your own test dummy. You have been your own test dummy, and now you're doing it in a different way. You were once upon a time a test dummy, just walking around in life, just letting others do what they wanted to you, letting others use you as if you were a robot, and that you were supposed to be programmed to their time, to what they needed, and that you had no time and necessities that you that you needed of your own. And now you are test dummying yourself. You are saying, you know what, let me get up in this lab back here with chemistry, up in spiritual guidance, baby, with spiritual guidance, love it. Thank you, Spirit. That you are now saying, let me get up in this lab. Let me test this out on myself. Let me figure out what this equation means. Let me figure out what it is that I even mean. before I involve other people's engagement, before I invite someone else's way of thinking into my space, before I even let people perceive what my purpose is here for, what my cause is in alignment with. Baby, I love it. Breaking point with partnership, baby. Breaking point with partnership. Okay, let's sit with it for a moment. The energy of the Holy Spirit. I am so excited for you, rebels, because the way that you are seeing the dynamics of partnership, there is no timing on you. There is no timing on you. Confirmation. Regardless of how people feel that due to titles and with the mom card here, regardless of how people feel that you are supposed to present yourself due to your time, and you are in this energy, and if you're not there yet, honey, Spirit is saying they gonna open up that bottle for you because it's time for a celebration. You are now so discerning that it does not matter what your label is within someone else's book, what your character role is that they perceive of you in their book. You are always operating and functioning from the center and from the internal of yourself. What feels right to you? What does not feel right to you? How you need to move. It does not matter how others feel the need to put that pressure on you of anxiety, of anxiousness, of anything. You are going to move the way you know is in alignment for you. And here look, babe, with the mom. Now, you don't have to be a mom. You could just, this is just speaking of someone who is the everything that keeps things moving, that keeps things going. You now have this clarity of what your purpose is, and your purpose is to just be you, to love you, to satisfy you. And this doesn't take away from anyone else. It's their choice whether they choose to engage with you. But they have to engage with you. Confirmation. They must engage with you with the respect of your rules. Even if it's intense, they don't get to come around and move things around. There has to be you signing new contracts, baby. You signing new contracts. You have rewritten your contracts. Oh my gosh, you have rewritten your contracts here on earth and within the spirit realm, baby. Oh my goodness, I didn't even realize that was there. Co-creation, baby. Set your intentions. Set your intentions. Continue to set your intentions, honey. With mistakes, it says mistakes, misunderstood, victims, soulless. Spirit said, pull one more because this one, honey, conflict. Babe, be prepared for it. Because, once again, it's not personal. Others are going to want you to rearrange yourself back to who you used to be based upon the pressure that they apply onto you. Others are not going to find comfort in who you are becoming and who you are, because you are going to be an inspiration. And Spirit said, though you should be an inspiration, though you should be of an inspirational influence, the fact that they feel disregarded is going to challenge them. It's going to challenge them to redefine their own definition. Kipperish, what do you want? Honey, yep. North and South, no, baby. The balance of, just because you are no longer the completion and the incompletion of who you once were, does not mean that you do not know how to tap into that energy when it is needed and when it supports you. So Spirit said, don't let motherfuckers get you twisted. All right, honey? Because it's going to be a fight. It's going to be a fight of how they view you and how you understand yourself. And it says solitude, baby. I was just telling my oldest yesterday. She was saying, well, I love family. And I was like, you know what, me, personally, I love solitude. Now let's read this. It says, try not to absorb any more external energy and try not to absorb any more external energy and carve out some essential alone time to give you a chance to experience and discover who you really are as an individual. Rebels, I love and I adore you, but take what you need from this message, discard what is not needed, or keep it just in case, because who knows, you might need it down the line and just haven't got to the understanding that that concept was relevant for you as well. It says, be true to yourself in all ways. Not everyone will get you. They can only understand you from their level of perception. Yes, that's on them. No matter what people say, don't ever doubt your worth or the beauty you hold within. Stand tall in your power. Rebels, I'm going to share this with you before I let you go. I have been getting calls. I have been getting text messages. I have been getting so many things that was emails that was supposed to be perceived as a distraction. And notice how I said perceived as a distraction, because it could have caused irritation for me throughout this message. It could have stopped me. The first time it did, you're going to notice if you go back at the beginning of the message, yeah, I'm going to have to clip this, edit this video and, bring two parts together. I'm going to have to bring these two parts together and make it one whole, and feel that that's a message for you as well. Your north and your south. You're going to have to bring those two parts together and realize that one is no better than the other. You have to bring your entire being into focus and a realization of this is just simply who you are, and that you're still learning, you're still growing. And so long as you are comprehending and comprehensive of yourself, ain't shit nobody can ever tell you about you. Because the way that you've had to study yourself, no one ever in your life, not even a reader, is going to be able to come along and tell you wholeheartedly who you are. Us here as readers, we're here to assist you in the warfare and the insight of being able to see you and you value you clearly, right? So then you have 55 with clarity. Baby, it says, you aren't a victim of circumstances, rather you are the beneficiary of it. If that weren't the case, life would be pretty dull. You will set yourself up for success in the long run if you are willing to adapt to this shift. Everything is working out for the best. At long last, you are accomplishing what you set out to do. Everything will work out perfectly in the end. Rebels, I love you and I adore you, but you're going to have to go on somewhere now. And it's inner trust. And we got one more to get. Oh, it said two more. Inner trust. Question nature. Question your nature. Question your nurture. That's, baby, that's been this whole minute. Question your nature. Question your nurture. And as you understand yourself, you will then be able to expand yourself to understand others. Not to tell them about themselves, but to understand others and their reasoning for existing within the space that they coexist with you, baby. Rebels, I love you and I adore you, but go live your life and make it do what it needs to do for you, babe. Go Rebels.